No, 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 no. The movie is replayed again. No, 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 no. I am not watching this movie again.
What happened? I don't care. I feel good!
What? Oh, I feel awful now. God damn it. I guess I can't hold on to that form for long yet. Gotta get used to it. Shit. What day is it? It's January. Oh, I need something to review. Horror of Dracula.
But first I gotta talk about The Curse of Frankenstein. Now, while it wasn't Hammer's first horror movie, it was one of their most successful at the time, as they made their own version of Frankenstein, which was more dark compared to Universal, and it was in color.
And since this movie is in color, they put in more blood, or at least for the time. This was the 50s, so don't expect too much blood.
Horror of Dracula, or just Dracula in the UK, was released May 1958, less than a year after Curse of Frankenstein. The movie stars Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, Christopher Lee playing Dracula. As Hammer decided again, instead of doing what just Universal did again, they decided to do their own thing with more blood.
Or at least as much blood as this movie could show at the time, and this was before the ratings board, by the way. But anyway, let's get to the Horror of Dracula. Wait a minute, I just realized I'm not falling into my chair. Ooh, this is a new chair. It's actually kind of comfortable, too.
Anyway, the movie begins like the novel with Jonathan Harker going to Dracula's castle.
Though here he's Dracula's librarian because, Dracula, he probably does have a lot of books. He is a couple of 100 years old, so, yeah, what do you think Dracula did all the time? Of course he's gonna read. What do you think, all he does is drink blood? No, of course he has to read something.
Anyway, Harker meets a woman at the castle who's hot and asking for help.
Yeah, there are no red flags here. Nope, nope, nope. All this is completely normal. Nothing is wrong here. There is nothing wrong. Nothing at all.
Alright, move on! Nothing to see here! Please disperse!
Don't question it!
Anyway, it's time to meet Dracula, played by Christopher Lee.
I am Dracula, and I welcome you to my house. I must apologize for not being here to greet you personally, but I trust that you have found everything you needed.
And he does a great job. He's one of my favorite versions of Dracula, but he doesn't have very much dialogue throughout the series. This is basically all his dialogue in the movie right here. And hell, he doesn't even speak in Prince of Darkness, though that was for completely different reasons, which I'll get into once I do review that movie. But anyway, he's still great. He mostly does his own thing. He doesn't talk much. He's more of a badass Dracula compared to Lugosi, who talked a lot more. But, I like this. He does a great job in the role, and he's one of my favorite Draculas.
Anyway, Harker is shown to his room as we learn there's a twist on the story.
I will forever end this man's reign of terror.
And yeah, here Harker's a vampire hunter, which is actually very surprising since he's never been a vampire hunter before. In the book, he knew nothing about it, but here he's a vampire hunter, which, you know what? For this movie, I like the change. I mean, Harker isn't in very much of the movie. That's the one problem with it, because, spoilers, Harker dies.
Anyway, Harker is supposed to be watching the house, but he's locked in his room.
Damn it, Dracula! How in the hell is Harker supposed to watch your house when he's stuck in there?
I'll help you. I promise.
And Harker, you should have saw that coming. You're a vampire hunter here. You knew that Dracula was a vampire, so you could assume that most likely the people in his house are most likely a vampire, so you shouldn't let them get that close to your neck, you dumbass. And no, there are no excuses for him letting her to be that close. And no, him being horny is not a good enough excuse. Okay, that's a pretty badass way of showing off Dracula. I mean, sure, Christopher Lee's Dracula doesn't talk too much, and even in the sequels, when he doesn't talk much, he's still badass, but I still love his Dracula, even if he doesn't talk much. He's just so fucking badass.
So now that he's bit, Jonathan is gonna turn to a vampire, I guess, so he says screw it and goes down to kill the vampires.
Though you should take down Dracula first, because he is the more powerful of the two. And the bitch, while she is probably strong, she's not nearly as old or as powerful as Dracula. So I would say kill Dracula first, because, yeah, if he lives, he'll just get another bride.
Anyway, then we see Van Helsing, played by Peter Cushing, is now in Transylvania.
And yeah, Peter Cushing does a great job. He also played Frankenstein the year before. I'm talking about the Doctor here, not the monster. But anyway, he did a great job in both roles. He played them both very differently, because they're very different roles. One's good, one's more cold. I'm not sure about it. I guess he's evil, but anyway, he plays both roles very good, and I really like him. He's my favorite Van Helsing, and one of my favorite Frankensteins. He does a really good job in this movie.
As Helsing says, he can help the villagers as he goes looking for Harker, but he finds Harker's diary. Well, then he goes to Dracula's castle and finds Harker.
And Harker got turned into a vampire, which is very different from the book where he lived. Now, I actually like this. I like how Hammer had the balls to change his story so much, though it does mean that Harker isn't in very much of this movie, sadly.
Anyway, Helsing goes to see Jonathan's stepbrother and his wife, Mina, as Jonathan's wife is Lucy, as she's sick.
And they, for some reason, switched the names. Lucy was married to Arthur, and Mina was married to Harker. But here, they swapped it for some reason. Now, I do understand the change, and oddly enough, it's not the first time it happened. But it's still confusing.
But anyway, we go to Helsing as we hear what the vampire's weaknesses are in this movie.
The vampire allergic to light. Never ventures forth in the daytime. Sunlight fatal.
And yeah, while in the book Dracula was weakened by sunlight, it didn't kill him. It just made him lose most of his power. Now, truthfully, I'm not the biggest fan of the sunlight weakness, because this means that Dracula is very vulnerable in the daytime. Too vulnerable. It nerfs him a lot, which I don't like. I think it's scarier that he can go out in the daytime, even though he doesn't have much power.
Vampires repelled by odor of garlic.
Oh, it doesn't really hurt them. They just think it stinks, and you know what? I kind of understand.
Anyway, Dracula goes into Lucy's room and bites her.
Because he needs a new bride after Harker killed his, so, you know, it might as well steal Harker's wife for himself.
Anyway, she's still alive for now, but very sick, as Mina tells Helsing the symptoms and that it happened right after Harker died.
And yeah, Helsing isn't dumb. He knows that Dracula is after Harker's bride because, yeah, Harker did kill his bride, but, dude, you should probably stay nearby just in case, because, you know, Dracula could always get a bite in somehow because somebody's stupid, so, yeah, I would stay close just in case.
So Helsing goes to see Lucy as she has bite marks, and they have a nice chat.
Jonathan's dead, isn't he? It's true, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
And yeah, she wasn't told about that yet, but she doesn't seem too sad, though I can understand, because now she has a Christopher Lee, which is much better.
Anyway, Helsing tells Mina to keep the windows locked and garlic in there at all times during the night.
These flowers, I can't stand them. They do smell strongly, miss, but Mrs. Homewood said that...
I don't care what she said.
They stifle me. All right, miss. I'll take them out.
Oh yeah, great, you bitch. Now you're gonna lead her to her death. Great idea. Yeah, Mina, you should have made positively sure that your maid knew not to do that under any circumstances. It's now, she's gonna fucking die.
And so now, Lucy is dead.
And yeah, I can understand why they changed the names now. It's still confusing, but she is still playing the Lucy role, even if she's married to Harker. It's just still confusing.
Whatever happened, all I know is that you've brought us nothing but grief. Whoever you are and whatever your motives, please go and leave us in peace.
Okay, dude, that might not work, but that's not Helsing's fault. Now, he probably could have done more by staying nearby and maybe finding Dracula's hideout, but oh well. You guys probably should have listened to him. Maybe Lucy would be alive right now if it wasn't for that dumbass maid.
Anyway, that night, Arthur goes to Lucy's grave, her not being there.
And she's lucky she wasn't buried, because if she was, she would have to dig herself out of the dirt every night, which isn't exactly fun.
But that night, I guess Lucy gets her niece to go with her as Arthur sees his sister, but luckily...
Harker is there, which, yeah, he probably should have came out sooner. He probably should have been paying more attention, because, yeah, once Lucy got near the little girl, that's when he probably should have stepped in, because she could have bit the little girl at any time. Though I guess the little girl was just bait, so it doesn't matter too much, but still, he should have stepped in earlier.
But it's daytime, so Lucy has to go back to sleep.
And yeah, this is really why I don't like the sunlight weakness, because, yeah, it really nerfs the vampires in daytime. They can't do shit! I mean, you could easily kill a vampire in daytime because they can't do a thing. They need to sleep. They can't go out into the sunlight because that will kill them. At least in the book, while it did nerf him, he could still fight back.
Anyway, it's time to put Lucy to peace and put her soul to rest by putting a stake in her heart, but it's the only way.
And they show some blood, which is pretty cool. And I'm just glad that they didn't forget Lucy like Universal did.
Anyway, Helsing explains what vampires can't do.
I always understood that if there were such things, they could change themselves into bats or wolves.
That's a common fallacy.
Oh yeah? Well, tell that to Brides of Dracula.
Anyway, they try to look for the coffin, but can't do anything about it as, boy tells Mina to go somewhere.
It might have been a good idea if you told Mina about Dracula, because, yeah, you did just kill Dracula's newest wife, so, yeah, he's gonna need a new one.
Anyway, Mina comes back, her covering her neck and her also looking pale. Anyway, they go looking for the coffin again, but it ain't there anymore, as later, Arthur gives Mina a big red flag.
Yep, that really isn't a red flag. Ignore that, especially.
Anyway, now they're gonna need Mina to help them find Dracula. They're going to use Mina as bait. As Dracula goes in and...
Yeah, sadly, in the original version of this movie, the scene was cut out. Though, luckily, recently they found some of the cut footage from this movie and added back in. It doesn't look as good as most of the rest of the movie, but it still looks good enough.
But yeah, they're almost too late, and Mina almost dies, and lucky for her, Arthur's the same blood type.
Yeah, maybe you guys should have stayed a little bit closer so that didn't happen.
As the maid was told by Mina that in any circumstances, she shouldn't go in the cellar.
Damn it, lady, you're lucky that you said something, or you could have caused another death.
And yeah, Dracula's down in the cellar.
Ah, I see, so he's hiding in plain sight. That's kind of smart. The thing is, though, if it was daytime, that, yeah, wouldn't work, because if they found you, you'd be fucked, Dracula.
As Dracula took Mina, is headed toward his castle, so they gotta rush there before daytime.
Hey!
You good for nothing, kids? Why does this keep happening? Damn you assholes, stop doing that! Anyway, they catch up and get to the castle so that Dracula and Van Helsing can have a fight.
And yeah, this fight is pretty cool. Dracula's more powerful, of course, but you know what? Van Helsing does a good enough job, especially for being human. Okay, even though I don't like the sunlight weakness still, this death is pretty fucking awesome.
And sadly, this was originally cut out, and I'm glad they found this footage because it is an awesome death.
And even though you can tell the stuff was cut out just by the footage's look, because it doesn't look as well preserved as the rest of the movie, it is really badass, and I am very glad they put it back in, because it is awesome! Anyway, that was Horror of Dracula, and it's great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite versions of Dracula. It follows the book more than Universal, but it also changes the story to make it its own thing, and the changes that it made, I liked. I liked that, for the story at least, Harker being a vampire hunter was surprising. Though, he did die pretty on, but that doesn't matter. The performances are great. Christopher Lee, even though he doesn't talk much, he's still so badass in the role, and while I do prefer Lugosi in the role, Lee did play the character more, and I really enjoyed his performance in all these movies, actually, even the ones that he doesn't talk in. But Peter Cushing, who actually is my favorite Van Helsing, did such a great job, especially since he played Victor Frankenstein, who was a villain. Yeah, villain. And here he plays a hero, showing that he's a great actor being able to play both, and he does a great job being my favorite Van Helsing. And one thing I don't like is that the sunlight weakness, but Dracula has his probably best death here. Sadly, it was mostly cut out of the original, but it being put back in, it looks great. Even though it doesn't look as good as the footage that was better restored, it still looks really good, and I'm so glad they put it in. It is awesome. But anyway, this is one of the best versions of Dracula, and I love it. So I'm giving Horror of Dracula a 5 out of 5.
Alright, that was fun. At least I didn't have to review something awful for the first review of the season this year.
They're eating her! And then they're going to eat me! Oh my god!
Oh my god. Well, I'm not reviewing Troll 2 just yet. I'm reviewing the first Troll. Though, that's still gonna suck.